He's known for falling down a hole somewhere in World of Warcraft and solving old school puzzles like it's national.
Chat, have you guys ever seen Guzu fall into the hole in hardcore and die? They made an anime about him. The Fall of Guzu. Hurricane made it. He had such a legendary moment in hardcore that like everybody heard about it, and like the guy who's the absolute GOAT of making World of Warcraft videos he reenacted it. Look at how good this is, guys. This is insane. This is cinema. We should watch this really quickly before we start the Guzu video.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out.
Not the DPS meter.
So the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
He pushes the lip away. That was a noggin fogger. I thought it was a lip because basically you can lip fall damage like it because fall damage is considered physical damage. So if you do a immune to physical damage potion called limited invulnerability, then you don't take damage. But noggin fogger has a chance to turn you into a skeleton or whatever, which makes you fall slower. It gives you like slow fall. So I guess yeah, he could have hit that. Do we have the actual clip somewhere?
Man. Oh, it's Weaver. That's kind of sus. That's the guy from the Shattered Hand. The red aspect? You're just saying it because of this. Okay, like... Oh! You're fucking cool. My day is ruined.
300,000 views on this clip. Holy crap. Wait a second. Did he actually... Dude, I don't remember him clicking a noggin fogger like that. That was actually insane. He actually drank it and he turned into a skeleton. Is the skeleton not the one that gives you slow fall? Oh, it's the different one. Dude, I never use noggin foggers. That's like the one thing I never really use because I just never use them. So I don't really know them very much. A lot of people just use them for transmog. So yeah, that's the story, guys. That is the story of Guzu, the hole-in-one. He's playing a hardcore warrior, one of the slower, harder classes to level in the game, in hardcore. And he is about 5 days played, I'd say, right now into his character. So in order to get to where he's at, to this dungeon, this is called Sunken Temple. And it takes, an average person about 5 days played probably to get where he is, which is, just over 120 hours or so of playing the game. So if you want to try to imagine like where you're at on a hardcore RuneScape account or whatever, he's about 120 hours in. Yeah, which is basically nothing in RuneScape. You've basically gotten nothing done at all. Yeah. You've basically gotten hardly anything done. But it's a long time in World of Warcraft years. In World of Warcraft years, it's a long time. In RuneScape years, it's literally nothing. But that's the backstory. So now we're gonna watch. Or listen to rather the interview with Jimmy and Guzu. Now let me close this out. This is my J1mmy review tapes.
I played a lot of classic WoW. I played Rogue and Warrior for the most part, mostly Rogue to begin with, and I did a lot of world PvP, and I really loved raiding and like parsing and raids and stuff. So mainly that, but just the classic, basically, just vanilla, right?
Gotcha. It's like, did you ever find yourself taking it more seriously than you thought you would? Like, streamer aside, like as a player, did you ever like kind of log in with a serious face, like I'm gonna get this done today, you know, like for a period of time?
I mean, I don't know. I always played quite a lot, but I mean, when I got back into playing classic WoW again, which is when I really started having like a big burst of gameplay again in it. It was back in 2018, I think, but there was a private server at that point called Nostalrius that I ended up getting coerced into playing. In the beginning, I was like, I'll just play casually, you know, once in a while, and then you get, you know how it goes with MMOs. You just start losing your whole life into it, right? But I don't know. I feel like back when I did like when I first got into classic WoW again, like in 2018, 2019, I really played a lot. It was
Guys, just so you guys know, Nostalrius would have been for WoW players what a private OSRS server would have been like pre-2012. Like imagine RuneScape 3 is out and there's no OSRS and some guy figured out how to reboot a private old OSRS and there was like 1 million people playing it. Did that happen in RuneScape? Were there private old school RuneScape servers? Yes? Okay. So that is what Nostalrius was, and it got so big that Blizzard had to literally sue them to shut it down. And it was a really, really big thing, the Nostalrius era. I was not involved in that. I'm not actually like a classic player. I'm basically like a person that converted from retail to a classic player, and I didn't convert that long ago. Maybe like 3 years ago, I converted to being a classic player. And I didn't convert until hardcore was a thing. So when hardcore came out, I tried it and I immediately fell in love with it. I was like, this is the game for me.
Was even before I was streaming, it was like my whole life outside
like regular
work
classic
and school and stuff.
Yeah. So like 2019 when Classic came out, is that kind of when
I didn't even play 2019.
Pretty much just total focus, Classic, not looking back, no retail sort of thing?
I was a bit before that. It was about Nostalrius. I don't remember. Nostalrius was actually in 2016, I think.
Oh,
it came out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started quite a bit before Classic was actually even announced. I was like, you know, hopping from private server to private server kind of a deal. But it was a bit more niche because there wasn't really anything official. But back when it was announced, that's when I went crazy with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of players were in that private server era. Like in RuneScape, it was the same thing around the EOC time. Like that's why they had finally gotten the courage to like pull old school RuneScape, because there were so many private servers basically hosting old school RuneScape already that were making money and stuff. So I guess it's like the same situation in WoW. So it's really interesting that everybody, like there seems to be so many players, like WoW players, that did try private servers or become a part of like a private server community. So that's super interesting just how prevalent it was. But with that stuff in mind, looking at just the landscape of World of Warcraft right now, because, you know, there's Classic Anniversary, there's just regular Classic, there's Hardcore Classic, there's these Season of Discovery servers. There's just like, there's Legion Remix, there's Mop Classic, like there's so much going on over there. So like, since you've been over here a little bit in the old school world, and you kind of just take a glance back at the World of Warcraft just environment, the community right now, what are your like thoughts on it collectively? Like when you just glance over there and see it in its current state?
I mean, I'm obviously coming from a very like classic based view, or like I love vanilla and like that thing. It looks messy, and I feel like it's I would love for there to be more communication and like more like, you know, what's going on, because for me it feels like a little bit like WoW. I guess WoW has always been seasonal, but it became more like, oh, now we have Classic Sod, Season of Mastery, Season of Discovery, Hardcore. Now we have Mists of Pandaria. Where's that going? Nobody knows.
Bro, I never even thought about it like that. Do you guys think that WoW tried to make their game less seasonal by releasing every version of the game so you always had a different version of WoW to play? You just make your game a year-round game by just having a bunch of different seasonal games to play. Yeah, I think that was their intention. Because they realized, like, WoW as a seasonal game, but they want people to have their to be subscribed year round, so they just released a bunch of seasonal games. It's kind of
it's where Season Discovery going, well, we don't know, maybe there's an update, maybe not, maybe your character's gone, and it feels a bit like you're left in like the unknown, which is really strange. And going over to RuneScape, something I've really noticed is that there's a lot of communication, and you really know what's happening, and it feels like the game you're playing is like it matters a lot more because it's a singular game, right? Whereas Classic is very scattered, and you don't really know where the focus is anymore.
Right. Abby mentioned it being really intentional to keep subscribers in his interview. Yeah, I think that's what it was for, is to keep the subs.
When I talked to Annie about this, she gave an interesting perspective of like, if you are a WoW player that plays all the versions, it almost feels like you kind of have like a backup of work to do, and you're trying to like bounce between the things to catch up and keep up.
Yeah.
Just because of how many things are going on constantly over there, and really kind of unpredictably going on over there. Like you just never know. So it's kind of tough to balance it all or choose your main game sort of thing.
And in a way, it feels like what Blizzard kind of wants is that
it feels like, in a weird way, it feels like Blizzard just like throwing versions of the game at us, and we're just like, stop. Legion Remix, Sod, Mists of Pandaria, play this. You know, they're just like keep throwing versions of WoW. It's like you're getting hit by the WoW pillow. It's like, stop. We don't want any more. We don't want any more games. We just want one good one.
That they want people to play all the versions. So like I'm not playing WoW, I'm playing every version of WoW, right? And I have like 4 different characters. So a really interesting thing that they did actually back in a few months ago with Season of Discovery, they did their final raid, the Scarlet Enclave, and there's a boss called Balnazzar in that raid. Mm-hmm. And then they came out with a Mr. Pandaria, and then they did like a little, I guess, event where if you went into Season of Discovery and you killed Balnazzar, you got a free Mr. Pandaria boost.
Oh, weird.
So they're trying to coercing people to go from Sod to Mob, right? And then now we don't know where Mob is going, and Sod is kind of like in the lull as well. So you're like hopping from all these versions of the games, but you don't really know where the main focus really is anymore, I feel like.
Yeah. And now that you mention that, I do remember when they first did I think it was Mop Remix, I'm pretty sure. And then there was like the incentive for players to go try it because they would get cosmetics in retail or something like that. So it's like, which I guess is a similar system to what Old School has with leagues, whereas like
they're trying to push people to the other versions of the game that they're not like trying out or playing currently, like incentivizing you to go and do it.
Go participate in this temporary game mode, and then you can get rewards on your main account sort of thing. So I guess that makes sense, but there just seems to be so much of that bouncing around, like the incentives and all that. So I don't know. It's very complicated, it feels like.
Yeah. It's also a bit of FOMO as well, because a lot of the game modes, that whenever you do them, you can catch up on so many stuff, and there's so many unique rewards that you can only get during this game mode. I remember when they did Plunderstorm, which was like a battle royale style WoW game that they did for like a period of time. You could gain 50 levels in that game mode, if I recall correctly. And there was unique rewards tied to that event that you could only get at that point, right? And then whenever the event is over, it's gone. So people were like really annoyed that they had to play this game mode to get their rewards in current WoW, right?
Yeah, I guess they combat that in Old School by making the rewards tradable, so people are like doing it just to go sell it in the main game, and then if you weren't there, you could just buy it on the GE or something. That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that really, like why they did that. I guess it's the fight the FOMO thing, because FOMO is not very liked by Old School community.
Yeah, that I've noticed.
Definitely. Yeah, just thinking about all of the different WoWs, there's obviously the discussion of Classic Plus, and I know you've kind of dove into Classic Plus discussions a lot and kind of chimed in on a lot of different other creators talking about it. So when you envision Classic Plus, what exactly do you see? Because it's like, when I think about Classic WoW or just WoW format in general, this very like vertical progression of journeying to max level, and then grinding for pre-bis, and then grinding for bis until the next thing comes out where you grind again for this and like keep that cycle going. So in like the situation of a Classic Plus, like this thing that everyone's kind of, you know, seeking after, what do you envision that being that kind of separates it from all these other game modes and different versions of WoW that we've had so far?
So I guess the biggest the thing with World of Warcraft is that its strongest suit and what's made it such a big MMO has been that vertical progression where like, oh, we have vanilla WoW and then now there's a new raid and then that raid kind of, you know, is a lot more powerful than the previous raid, and then there's a new power, and then now we have the Burning Crusade with Illidan, and then now we have Wrath with, you know, they have all these big characters and all these big moments that like progresses the game. But at this point now, it's become a little bit of the Achilles heel, I guess, of the game, because a lot of people are searching for a little bit more of an evergreen experience with an MMO where they can invest their time in like a more of a horizontal versus vertical way. But when it comes to Classic WoW, to circle back to Classic Plus, I think there's a lot of ways that they can expand upon the game in a way where you stay true to what the game was or is, I suppose, without having the power creep go crazy. I don't know how they would do it in terms of gearing and progression, maybe cosmetics or challenges or certain different unique items that would be utilized in certain different scenarios. But I think just expanding upon the current world in a way that would make sense.
They need to make the game horizontal progression forever. Design the game for like 20, 30 years, plot out all of the gear that you're going to make and release, and make sure all of it is still somewhat relevant. And I don't know how you do that in WoW.
For what it is, right? Stay true to a classic RPG. Don't make it too modern, is what I'm trying to get at, right? Also, I'm rambling a little bit here, but it's also a big thing for me for them to work on zones and like different new areas and like, but zones that would make sense, because we've had talks about, I had to talk today about with my stream about a potential BG, because there was a scrapped BG called Ashara, like the Ashara battleground. There was supposed to be one there, and that's something that they never really got to do. There's also the whole Karasan thing, and there's stuff in Uldum. There's a lot of zones within the game that essentially have an entrance to a new area, which was then explored later in the expansions, but we never really got to see in vanilla, right? So they can do it like such, but how would they do it with the WoW format? I don't know, because that would go kind of against the WoW format with the new content and new raids, right?
Yeah, and how WoW has always kind of like done content is like they've done it with the vertical progression, and then a new expansion, it's like, okay, then you need to level again. And so every expansion, it's like leveling equals content, but that is going to be gone. In Classic WoW, I mean, once you hit 60, you're done. You're done leveling. And the thing about RuneScape is like, you're almost always leveling. Like you're leveling for like 2 years, maybe longer. Some people are leveling for like 10 years in RuneScape and they never hit max because they just don't play enough, or they just decide that they just don't want to go for a max cape. But like eventually everyone hits max in World of Warcraft. Maybe people just hit max level too fast. Maybe they could change the way that we interact with mobs. Like imagine you could bring like a level 40 to Molten Core if you wanted to. He just wouldn't do that much damage. Right? Maybe they should change that interaction in WoW. Where like you can hit things that are higher level than you, just you don't hit them very hard or something. That's a whole different thing. But
do you think they would benefit?
The point of that was they need to make the leveling phase longer. The journey needs to be longer.
In trying to experiment with things like that would introduce more like horizontal progression, like basically making all professions available to everybody. Like you don't have to just choose 3 or whatever. Like stuff like that, would you think would help at all?
I think it's a slippery slope, and it's very difficult because when you start changing a lot of the core fundamentals of what classic like vanilla WoW is, it becomes a whole different game altogether, right? But I think it's about maybe taking what really works in the game at its base state, like not no changes, but like the base of what an anniversary is, for instance, right now in vanilla WoW Classic, and expanding upon that. Maybe there could be some sort of a thing where you could enhance the professions in some way, or make people able to use more professions, or make them more worthwhile, or stuff like that, right? I think there's a lot of...
The game needs a lot of fundamental changes, though. Like, if you keep classic WoW how it is and just do like minimal changes, like paladins have taunt or something like that, the game is dead on arrival. Like, the game needs a lot of changes, in my opinion, and I don't know if that's going to be received very well.
Of great things that OSRS has done that WoW could kind of take a note from, but obviously not copy, because it's just different MMOs, and a lot of things that work in RuneScape won't work in WoW.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I wish they would,
examples
but they just
that
won't.
you've thought of over the past few months that like, wow, I hope that World of Warcraft looks at this and implements some kind of version of it?
That's a difficult thing, but I think my main thing that I really love about old school is the fact that there's a lot of solo content that you can do. Because maybe I'm anti-social.
This would be huge. WoW can't have solo content because it's a Trinity system. It's like solo content in WoW is just Torghast, and everyone hated Torghast. Maybe people would have liked it if it wasn't mandatory, but because they made people do it, for like they had player power hidden behind it. Whenever there's player power, that means you have to do it, because you have, like, you're not going to do any damage if you don't, right? So they made people do it, and people hated it. But maybe if Torghast had been optional, there's a chance that people might have liked it. If there was like a leaderboard, they could have made it. They could have done some things to make it better. But in general, most people did not like Torghast.
Okay, but I love in my MMO that I can do my own thing if I want to.
100%. Yeah.
I love, so I would love to see more like challenges, or like it could be like we had something in WoW in Legion called Mage Tower, which was like a solo challenge that could get harder and harder with no real like gear upgrades, but it was like cosmetics and like some cool stuff like that. Okay. So like challenges and like some solo dungeon or solo things like that you could do, I think would be really interesting if they could make it work in that way.
Have you ever, it's just like a side note on this, because this is definitely related. Have you ever tried Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO?
Oh, I very briefly, not very long. I have like 10 hours maybe in it.
Okay, I had like a super big phase of playing that game, and they definitely were heavily inspired from World of Warcraft, like in their the structure of combat and progression and all that. And a thing that they did to actually create solo content is make it so that you have companions that like follow you around, and they can be a healer. Like you can assign them a role to play. And you could like level them up, and they follow you around. It's just an NPC that follows you around and like heals you and stuff. So essentially, if you can get to max level just single player because you have a healer with you, kind of thing. Would you think like a system like that would potentially work? Like something that would allow you to go do content that already exists that wouldn't really be accepted?
So retail just kind of did this, but they put delves in the game, and you get like a little brand dude who kind of fills the other role for you. Like he can either fill as a tank, or he can fill as a DPS or a healer. And so you have like NPCs running around with you to complete the Trinity system, because the game is dead without the Trinity system, in my opinion, because it's all completely designed around minimum like 3 players. So it's tough to, it just faces that design issue, which kind of kills a lot of content ideas.
Accessible as a solo player with a system like that.
And I hate delves, by the way. I don't like them.
I don't know how well that would be received. I know that's something that World of Warcraft has done in Dragonflight with something called delves. I don't know if you know about that.
I don't think so.
Delves is essentially like a solo dungeon with levels that you can go deeper and deeper, and then you have a NPC called Brand Bronzebeard that you can assign to be a healer or a DPS, and you can essentially have a follower. Yeah, so they have actually done this in current retail WoW, but I'm not sure how well that would be received in the classic.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. That was just the one thing I could think of for the current style of it, but
yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully they do, if they since I guess there are whispers of them, having some sort of Classic Plus project. Who knows how true it is, but hopefully they do kind of experiment with more of that single player MMO, but you're not alone sort of thing. That the vibe that Old School kind of has, because I think that's very sought after with the current age of MMO players.
You know what I've always thought would be cool in retail WoW, guys, is kind of like a Doom boss, like that's in OSRS. But imagine it like a simulator for mechanics where you could go in and you could see kind of like how deep you could go in the delve, and each delve you go deeper, a new mechanic gets added to the fight. And so at the end, you're 12 levels deep and you're doing 12 mechanics at one time, and you have to do DPS. And I think that would be awesome. And you could get a title for like how deep in the delve you went. And then you could use that to like apply to guilds. You could use it as like this is my simulator rank. And then when you're applying to guilds, like, yeah, what's your sim? Like, how deep in the delve can you go? And it shows like a level of like how many mechanics you're able to do while still doing damage. I always thought that would be kind of cool to like have that as a like a benchmark for people that play retail WoW.
Yeah, I think people really like that. I think they've done a lot of great things as well with Season of Discovery, because a lot of people say that was like the testing ground for Classic Plus. It could be copium, but they did a lot of cool things. There's on the topic that we're talking about right now, there was a challenge that you could do as a warrior in Silithus, where you would go on this big tower essentially, and then you would fight some boss with like some very rough like one-shot mechanics, and there was no like eccentric, like there was no like gear upgrade that was like insane, but you could get some cool sunglasses if you got to level 100 or something, which I thought was pretty cool.
So
like stuff like that is pretty fun,
like that
right?
in the works. But I guess to transition a little bit into
that'd be interesting,
the main topic at hand. I've been asking everybody this, and I have a little more insight on your reason, which I'm happy about. But talking about the initial reason that you tried out Old School RuneScape, because you were probably the first WoW streamer to really start this movement. But just tell me about your thought process of wanting to kind of look at Old School, make an account, log in, and try it in front of everybody.
So, I mean, obviously I've streamed World of Warcraft now for 7 years. I started in 2018, and it's been my main like content that I've been doing, and I've been like making videos on and streaming and stuff like that. And it's been really great. I love it, but I reached a little bit of a point where like I got quite burned out of like, leveling new characters and doing it again and doing it again. So I went into a little bit of a lull with it, and I ended up doing a lot of variety gaming for my stream and myself as well. I did like Baldur's Gate and a bunch of RPGs, but eventually I got like that itch to play an MMO again, and I really wanted to like kind of delve myself into like a longer kind of experience with an MMO. And I've spoken to a lot of my friends, and they always told me that, you gotta try Old School RuneScape. Like, I think you would love it. Like, I think it'd be great. Oh, you should try it out, even if it's just for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm kind of a little bit burned out on WoW. I'm doing a lot of variety stuff. Maybe it's time to give it a try. And at first, it was like, okay, I'll do like a little video series on it where I stream it for a week, and then I'll be like my 7 days of RuneScape, right? And that was my idea, but I never really had an idea to like play it long term. It was just like, okay, I'll dip my toes into it, probably think it's okay, and then move on. But it kind of became this whole thing with like, I just got so sucked into it, and then I had such positive feedback for my approach to the game as well. And those things kind of feed into each other, like I'm having fun, and then my YouTube and my stream is really, really positively engaging with my content too. So I was like, man, this is really something. And it made me take my time a little bit more with the game rather than rushing it. And I think that's what made me really enjoy myself a lot, because I was reading the quests. I was like, trying to learn things blind and have this really open mind approach to it, where I'm not trying to get anywhere fast. I'm just trying to play a game and have fun, right? And that's kind of what I tried to do with it at first. Just like, okay, I'll just play the game and have fun, and it turned into a lot more.
Yeah, it definitely did turn into a lot more. I had remembered because ever since the first OnlyFans, I wasn't even a part of it.
Correct way. I'm gonna give a hot take, and I'm gonna say I disagree, but I also agree. It's like a kind of a agree and disagree. So I agree that you should play the game the way you enjoy, but I don't agree that taking your time is right for everyone, because somebody like LMGD really enjoys playing the game, like speedrunning games. He enjoys that, and he's very good at it. He got world first like two times. So I think that if you like to play a game fast, then you should play the game the way you enjoy. So yeah, enjoy the game however you want to play it. The thing I don't like is when other people tell you how you should enjoy the game. That pisses me off. And that happens all the time.
Of it, but I started following a lot of WoW guys after that, just because, you know, Flutton was a part of it, and I saw her play with so many people. And I remember coming across your videos. I think actually the first time I had seen your stream is the WoW video, like my very first WoW video that I made, like the standalone one when I tried all of them. And that was the first time I'd come across you is reacting to it. And then I think before that, I realized that you'd also watched a Gary video. And I remember watching that one. And you had said in there, you were thinking about trying old school, and that was like a year before you had tried. So
Gary Gilbert.
Like this had been on your mind for a while, like kind of like in the back of your head, like, you know, maybe I should try it out.
OnlyFans, yeah.
So to kind of have that timing come around, you know, right after OnlyFans, well, I guess not right after, but, you know, OnlyFans had kind of died down a few months, and everybody kind of in this, I guess, this limbo of like what to do next, because everyone just got done doing a huge committed grind, and I think the timing couldn't have been better for getting into everything. And I remember you saying you saw Mad Season try it out, which is what made you want to kind of dive into.
Yeah, so like I mean I played WoW my whole life, right? And like I really love the classic game, so I always thought like, oh, what is RuneScape, right? Like, right? Yeah. But I always thought like, oh man, if you play, RuneScape is kind of like that. You know, it's like that game you play if you don't play WoW. So it's kind of like there was always been like this like underlying feud between WoW and RuneScape players. Yeah. But I've always wanted to try it out just to see what it is, because I've been told by so many people that there's so much more to it than just what it looks like at first glance, right? Because let's be honest, it looks quite dated, right?
Oh yeah, but absolutely.
But I've been playing with the thought of doing it, but I never really got around to it because I feel weird committing to an MMO when I'm already playing WoW, right? So like, oh, I'm doing WoW and now I'm hopping to RuneScape and back to WoW and that stuff. So I never really did it. And this was just like a perfect opportunity. And I definitely will be honest, when I saw Matt Season's videos and I'm like, damn, this looks pretty interesting. Maybe I should give it a try, you know?
Especially the way he's playing, because
I'm not gonna. I don't think that there's like a feud between WoW and OSRS. Like, I feel like there's a bigger feud between. Like, I feel like there's more of a civil war in OSRS. Like, I don't think OSRS players care about anything other than OSRS players. I've never heard anyone flame me for playing WoW. Like, I've never had anyone come to my WoW chat and be like, "Yo, come play OSRS. It's better. Like, why are you playing this dog shit game or anything like that?" You know, I've never really had that kind of experience. I think OSRS players are like they're too busy having a civil war over what's the best game mode, Iron Man or main. They're too busy with that. They don't have any other time to go make fun of WoW players.
I mean, it is just completely blind, guideless. Like, that's a nutty way to approach the game. Like, it's tough as a brand new player. Like, before you guys had all come over here and a couple of you guys trying it, you know, completely guideless. One of my buddies named Alien Food is doing Questcape, basically. Like, he's just playing through the game guideless, like unguided is his series name. And he had played RuneScape already. Like, he's already played it, and people were that interested in someone playing guideless. So all of you guys coming over here and actually having zero experience with the game guideless is like a whole new level of like, oh my god, like that's insane, sort of thing. Are you playing guideless still? Like, are you kind of where are you at with it?
So like for me, it's like a bit.
Guys, Guzu is playing guideless. He's doing a guideless bathroom break playthrough. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Bit of an in-between, right? Because obviously I'm live streaming, so there's gonna be a lot of just people telling me things like randomly, right? But quests, I don't look up anything, I don't use the wiki, I do everything blind as much as I can, right? Because sometimes I get a little bit stuck, and since I'm streaming, I don't want to get stuck on something just to be stuck, right? So like with the Fremennik trials, I ran into like a part where you gotta go find some beer and put it in.
So he took a bathroom break there.
To like some crazy stuff, right?
Yep.
And it was like, dude, I don't know how to do this, guys. Please give me a hint. So like, I have my chat give me hints, or like, I had a meme at some point where they were linking me movie titles with hints, which was pretty funny. So I do most of it, most new content I try to do blind. Like I try to learn bosses blind as well, and I think that for me, that's been the fun part of it. Just
watching Guzu do blind is crazy, man. I would not enjoy the game that way, so there's no way I'd ever do that. But yo, if he is enjoying that, shout out to him.
Being able to experience such a fleshed out MMO for the first time blind is really unique. I mean, you know this from WoW as well, right? So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's it's a unique thing to do when on RuneLite there's like a built-in Wikipedia button in the top right, like near your mini map. Like that's how much people rely on guides, even as new players and veteran players. It's it's just a part of the game for a lot of people. But do you remember like your first week of playing old school? Because I mean, you said you had only really intended to play for a week. But do you, if you rewind and kind of like remember your first few days of playing and experiencing it, just kind of what was going through your mind about old school as a game? Because I'm assuming it had kind of been very unexpected, coming at angles that you didn't see. Do you remember kind of what you were thinking as you were going through that very, very early game?
I mean, okay, this is going to sound weird, but at first it kind of gave me a little bit of nostalgia about being like, I don't know, 8 years old and then logging into like, Q8 or mini clip or whatever those websites were called, the browser websites, and just booting up. Did you know Adventure Quest?
Oh yeah, I played it. I had like the permanent $20 membership to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those games. It gave me that feeling of just, I don't know, just silly game in a way, but in a very positive way. But at first it was like, okay, well, this is kind of fun. I'm like messing around. I'm learning all these crazy mechanics. Like I'm learning to cook and to fish and to kill goblins and stuff. But it slowly became more and more like, damn, there's a lot of thought in this game. There's a lot of like thought process put into all these things. And I think the biggest thing that got me was the quests. I think when I did the murder mystery quest in House Mistalin, I think it's called.
Yep.
That was really special because I'm like, damn, there's some good like fun humor and like silly wittiness, which I've really, really appreciated. But I don't know, it felt like being lost in a new world a bit, which I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah, current players, like veteran players, would pay unlimited money to experience that initial first week again, because a lot of us didn't. I mean, it's like your first week playing World of Warcraft in 2005. It's like you can't remember even the whole feeling because it's been so long ago. So that's how all of us are trying to like live vicariously through all of you guys, and I'm sure just watching that first week of just like not knowing what everything is it's such a good thing to feel. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I watched you and all the other
like a funny
people come
right
over
there.
to OnlyFans as well, and I saw like your reactions to like dungeons. I'm like, dude, I remember like feeling like that, like going into Wailing Caverns and getting lost in the
so
caverns.
Fun, and it's one of those things like you don't realize how precious those memories are for players who've been playing for a long time. Because when I'm making those videos and go through Wailing Caverns and all the dead mines, and like there's these little details that I just think of like as a little funny thing, but then it's such a big deal to players because they're like, I can't believe that
Yeah.
players don't see that anymore. Or they don't realize that this is this way, sort of thing. So it's such a special thing seeing like an MMO that is so dear to you be experienced by somebody like in modern day. It's awesome. When you started progressing your account a little bit, this is a huge phrase that's being said. I've been asking everyone this. It's very interesting to hear the answers, but I'm sure you've heard it 400 times by now, of this statement that progression matters in old school RuneScape. People throw that around a lot. To the point where it made me even question whether it was still even true, because of it's just like the psychological thing of repetition, of like everyone saying it so much that is it actually true, sort of thing, that I don't even know anymore because it's not my thing to really judge. So from a longtime WoW player, when someone says progression matters in old school RuneScape, do you agree with that, and why or why not?
I think the thing that RuneScape, or old school RuneScape rather, has done really, really well is that they've made it so that you feel like the things you're doing matters, in the sense that, like, okay, now I'm going to Barrows and I get my Barrow drop. Now I have that for good. Now I can utilize this for go to Moons, and then whenever I get my Moons items and I end up greenlocking the Moons, now I have all this gear that I can forever use, and I don't have to go back. So it's like this never-ending checklist of things that you can kind of do that will allow you to do more things. So I think the way that the game opens up is really great, and I also think that they've done such a good job at making it feel rewarding, and the sense of like, okay, in the beginning there's a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of like level ups and items and stuff like that, and it can be very overwhelming, but eventually it evens out to the point where whenever you actually get those drops, it feels meaningful. When it comes to World of Warcraft, it's done very differently, because a lot of the things you attain while leveling and throughout your journey kind of gets replaced quite quickly, and I think that's the way that they mean, like, oh, well, things matter, right? Because when I have these things, it matters. And when I have my prayer levels, it will never go down. I can have 70 prayer, log out, log back in a year from now, and it's still 70 out of 99, right?
100%.
So I really think they've done a really good job at just firing up people's dopamine receptors of getting a drop and then never having to farm it again. Like like the other night I got my fishing barrel, and I'm like, dude, now I can fish like twice as efficiently, and like I never have to get that again. That I think that's what they've done so good.
Definitely. I guess it's very telling that when thinking about something like Barrows, the fact that it does become a pit stop for most players, like especially Iron Men. That's been in the game since 2005. Even all through the 12 years of old school's existence, putting its own content in, you still stop at Barrows. Like, you're always going to be doing that. Yeah. So they've done such a good job of like balancing all of the progression and like the armor and monitoring power creep and all that, which is probably one of the hardest things to manage in developing an MMO.
Dude, I don't know how they've done it so well, because like it feels good. Like they've really done a good job at
Barrows. What's that? Is that thing that you skip?
Managing the power creep and making sure that, okay, you're not gonna you're not gonna get some item and now you're twice as strong, right? Like it feels really good the way that the progression works in this game. Yeah. Which I think is very surprising for how much content there is to do.
Yeah, definitely. And Sardaco actually talked about this in his new video that he posted about item identity, which I thought was really interesting, because I've never really thought about it, of just the fact that when you go and get an item, it means something, even if it's just like a rune scimitar. It's like, that's such an important thing that...
No, that you're going to need that rune scimitar. You know that you need that very early on in the game.
Completed.
76 rune crafting. GZ's in the chat, boys. That's what I love about RuneScape, is like everybody knows what Tebow is. Name one item in retail WoW. I have no idea. It's like, what expansion is it? What's the name of the raid? What's the name of the boss? I don't know anything about any. I don't remember any of the names of any of the gear that I had I don't even remember the item level. I remember nothing. 20 years from now, I will always remember what the best weapons in old school RuneScape are. It doesn't matter. In classic WoW, everybody knows Thunder Fury. It's just like, that's item identity. RuneScape has strong item identity.
You don't skip or you don't, take for granted when you get it, sort of thing. And it's, you remember a rune scimitar. Whereas like in World of Warcraft, when you're level 40 and you get some, blue drop somewhere, like it's nice and it makes you feel powerful, but you don't even remember the name of it probably. Like unless you've played the game forever, you just memorize all these things. Like, it's just an item. It's just this thing that you have, and you move on from it pretty quick. So it's just the fact that all of these items that you come across or grind for are always going to be in your mind on your journey there. So it's such a cool system that I never really thought about in that way. That's a really cool part that they've managed to fit in the game somehow. I don't know how they did it. I don't know.
They've done a really good job at making things matter a lot, like on the long term, and like you feel like you build up all these different sets that has different purposes for different like things, right? It's like, oh, I want to use my rings, my recoil ring for this boss, or I want to have my tanking set when I do moons, or the moon set I can use for this, and then there's a lot of like things that you use for other things, which is what I think they've done a good job with. Like you have things for certain situations, which is where the vertical versus horizontal thing comes into play, right? Where like, it's not like a power creep with like, oh, now you get a new axe and now this axe is 10% better or 50% better. It's just a different axe for a different purpose, right?
Right. Yeah. It's such a good system that kind of like, intertwines with each other, and it's great.
Yeah.
They had a really good foundation. Like the old school team had a really good foundation to start with. You got to give them a credit from the 2007 and before days. Like they set it up nicely, but they've done an incredible job at kind of managing it over the years. Do you personally have a favorite grind that you've done so far?
A favorite grind? When you say, people always get very picky when you talk about grinds in this game.
I'm saying anything. I'm saying whether you liked standing still at a sand crab for a week straight, or if you wanted to get to a certain, finish a certain storyline for the quests, to get an item, or just to have the quest line done. Like when you look back at some of like the most enjoyable times so far, what comes to mind first?
The biggest moment for me, obviously, is getting my fire cape. Like going into the fire caves blind and like seeing Jad and getting one shot and then like learning him afterwards. That is by far the biggest moment for me. But I think like boss.
Imagine getting one shot by Jad. Noob.
I love doing bosses. I've recently learned to do Sulram, and I love PVM in this game. I think it's really good. So I would say like the fire cave, bossing, and then questing. I've been really a big
I got 2-shot.
fan of questing in this game. I think it's been so amazing, and I'm really excited for Blood Moon Rises next year, because Sins of the Father is still my favorite quest.
Oh yeah, it's a great quest line. Yeah. Big fan of quests personally, for some reason. I don't know why, but I do love quests.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that.
It's definitely always been my favorite. It's just I love the fact that our player never, in this version of RuneScape, not in the other one, but in this version, our player never exceeds an adventurer. That you're never a champion or hero or anything like that. You're just a guy, which is it has its charm. Yeah, you stumble into things by accident. You mess things up, and then you suddenly like. It's so funny looking at all the quest storylines, because half of them it's like you find yourselves in this like extraordinary situation, like this world-ending, if you don't do anything about it situation. But half the time you started that situation, like because you did something you weren't supposed to, which is really really funny. Like it's a very funny story that we experienced.
And it's somehow, some way it works out.
Yeah. Miraculously it works out somehow, and even then when it works out, no one's really congratulating you. They're kind of just like, yeah, well, that was your fault to begin with, so good, I guess, good job, but don't let that happen again, sort of thing.
Please don't come here again.
It's a great vibe. Like I love that.
I love it.
So I'm glad you like the quest.
It doesn't
thing.
take itself too seriously.
I'm glad.
Oh, it's amazing.
Because it's pretty meta nowadays, even as new players, to just kind of toggle on the quest helper. And
oh, I love it. I love the dialogue and the wittiness, and like it's so good.
Yeah, they nailed it. Even, especially the new ones, like the new quests coming out that the old school team's writing. Like they've got some crazy creativity that, you know, I'm so excited to see what they do after this. Real quick, you said that you've been doing some bossing. What like bossing have you?
So live interview is a YouTube video. Jimmy did all these interviews like last week, and then he's just posting one a day.
You done so far?
I mean, outside of raids, of course, I've done TOA, but I've done Barrows, I've done some Vorkath, I've done some moons, obviously a ton of moons, and I have recently learned Sulra, how to do Sulra. So I've killed Sulra 26 times now as well, which I also try to learn blind.
Nice. Yeah, Zulrah, not my favorite content to say the least. I do not.
I love like it, Zulrah.
Really? Do you? Yeah, I guess I never took the time to really learn it because I never did the grind on an Iron Man, and I wasn't going to do the grind on a main account for no reason. So I've never really like, you know, done the traditional learn Zulrah rotation and, you know, just grind it out for a while, but I'm sure it'll have to happen eventually.
Probably.
But that's cool. That's cool.
Does Jimmy
the bossing has been enjoyable.
Does Jimmy even play RuneScape, or does he just log in? What does he mean he's never done Zulrah?
Enjoyable. Moons is so cool. I love that. That's a dope place.
He just logs in.
When it comes to, you know, your current, like, you know, present day right now journey of old school,
just logs in and talks
Twitch
to people.
audience aside, YouTube success aside, why do you find yourself still logging in and playing in terms of, you know, do you have some long-term goals in mind, or is it kind of just like you like living in the moment playing, or, you know, where are you at in that sense?
I mean, generally, I'm a very goal-oriented person, and I like challenging myself. So for the time being, for me, it's like I want to finish off the quest cape, which I have currently 23 more quests to go. And after that, I want to try to take on Inferno Cape. I want to see if I can learn that and then do that, and then kind of take it as it goes. But I like challenge.
Does he not understand how far away he is from that? I mean, dude, Guzu, if you're going to do Infernal Cape, bro, I mean, you're going to need 94 mage. You're going to need maybe 95 range. You're probably going to need 87 crafting so you can boost for an Anguish. I mean, you're probably going to need yourself like at least a Huey one. I mean, maybe the upgraded Scepter from Muspa. I mean, then you're going to need at least 50k blood runes because it's probably going to take you like 50 tries. I mean, then you're going to need 77 rune crafting. I mean, it gets worse, buddy. I mean, I could keep going, but it's just like, I wonder if Guzu actually knows that. Do you think he actually knows that, guys? I might have to tell him, because if he doesn't know that, like, this is something that he should probably know, you know? I mean, I just don't want him to not know.
And I like having like goals to work on and stuff like that. And so far, I think RuneScape has been great at keeping me busy and keeping me interested, because whenever I finish a current thing, there's already another thing, which I really like. I don't know if it'll be like that forever.
Oh, he's gonna need Bofa and Blowpipe. Oh my god, he doesn't have either one. Oh, it's worse than I thought, Chad. I gotta go in his chat next time he goes live and talk to him and just make sure he sees it and probably type in all caps. I might even have to TTS it.
But for the time being, I really enjoy learning bosses and learning quests and learning raids and challenges. So that's probably what I've been enjoying a lot with the game.
Yeah, your pace has definitely felt very natural, especially compared to a lot of the WoW guys so far.
I'm a turtle, man.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it. It is by far the best way to go about it, which I'm really glad, because it felt like when all the WoW guys were coming over.
Is natural a way of saying that he's leveling slow?
Yeah, everyone's got WoW brain initially of you know, the best way to that, you know, it was put so far was that
you are unnatural, dude. Have you ever seen that guy Jokered? Okay, that's unnatural. Okay, I'm like a normie compared to him.
It feels like every WoW expansion, like kind of no matter what WoW you're logged into, it almost feels like you are on a timer.
Like it's like a rat race.
You need to get to that end game point, that best in slot point, before the next patch happens or before the next expansion happens. Like, you are constantly rushing to that point with everybody.
Yeah. I think a lot of that also comes to with the fact that it's like a content race, because if you're the first WoW person to do this, then like a lot of people will be hyped about it. So like it's like it's like a race between content and then also between like, I don't know, just experiencing everything. And then I think also like a lot of the WoW people are very competitive with each other, so they want to like kind of like push each other, which is fucking crazy because they're all playing like 16-18 hours a day. But yeah, you're right.
Sardaco is probably the fastest paced new player I've ever seen.
It's
ever
crazy,
like
man. I don't know.
I don't know. He is just a gamer at heart.
Called
like,
out? What the hell?
He's already messaging me about Inferno, and I was like, hate to break it to you, brother, but I've procrastinated that content for about 7 years now. So move along to the next OSRS guy. So, but it just goes to show, like, you don't.
I asked Jimmy if he would come coach me in Inferno, and he's like, yeah, I don't really know much about it.
Need to rush content ever during your time playing. So it's very funny watching like all the WoW guys, like the fact that there's so many WoW guys doing raids already, like going and doing Chambers of Xeric together. It's like, dude, you guys know you can relax a little bit, right? Like you're doing content that was out in 2017. Like this, it's not going anywhere, and you're still gonna be here. So you don't have to do this. Like, but if they're loving it, then why not?
I think you get caught up in the hype, right? You get caught up in and you want to just keep going, and it just goes crazy, I guess.
Have you personally felt like any of that, like speaking of FOMO, like have you felt any of that knowing that these guys are kind of doing that endgame content?
Not really, because I went into this with the approach of just having fun and then trying to experience a game. I'm not trying to race anyone. I've been having a lot of fun playing it with that in mind, that like, okay, I'm just trying to like have fun and like explore the game. I don't want to try to rush anything. So I play pretty slow compared to the other WoW people, but I haven't really felt like I need to speed up my stuff because of that.
Yeah.
No.
That's good. That's very good mentality to have. Yeah.
Hey, Stone, thank you for the gift sub.
Have a little sprinkle of FOMO because a lot of my friends that play are so
I get that.
fast at doing things like day one, need to start completing it, need a video out, need to like go record myself completing it, sort of thing.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, man, we're still gonna need to do this anyway. Like a few months from now, whenever we want to progress. So like, I don't really want to do it day one. Like, let me wait a second. Like, I don't want to do that. So I'm constantly, feeling that little bit of it of just like, oh yeah, that looks cool. Like I wish I was doing that with you guys right now, but it's fine. It definitely is.
Take your time with things.
It definitely
do it on your own pace.
But I guess recently we kind of knew that after all the WoW guys came over, there was going to be a few
Prime sub or 1,000 blood runes. I'm an Iron Man. I guess I'll take the Prime sub.
You that did what you initially wanted to do of just kind of trying it for a week or two and then backing out. And then there's also guys like Shobek who are kind of hitting this like obstacle in the road right now of like, not really feeling it, not really motivated. Why do you think that is, that some of these guys just kind of went back to WoW or just stopped playing entirely, rather than sticking around like
a big chunk
you guys did?
I mean, there could be a lot of reasons for it, right? Maybe it's not like a game they had intentions of like maining down the road for years to come, right? Maybe it's something they just like, okay, let me see how this game is and check out the MMO and feel out how the grass is on the other side of the fence, right? And then go back to my own thing and maybe come back and check it later again. Or maybe some people like, damn, okay, this game has a lot to offer. Let me play it a lot, way too a lot, and then burn out and then like feel like I have to do something else because I played it like 20 hours a day. But ultimately, like, I'm just happy that people are giving it a try. And will all of them play forever? No, probably not. I think it's very few people that will. But I can speak for myself that like I've definitely learned to appreciate.
Guys, you want me to show you what an average RuneScape player looks like? I'll show you. This is what I think of when I think of RuneScape players. I think of these guys. These little minions, and all the little minions are sitting on one side of a fence. Whenever one person comes over the fence and tries RuneScape, they're like, yay, 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 yay! Another one, yay! He's playing RuneScape. And then when one person goes over the fence, they're like, oh, where's he going? He's quitting. He's quitting. Everyone, look, he's quitting. He's quitting. Hey, he's quitting. Look. That's what I think of. I don't know why I just said that.
A lot of what RuneScape is and the community and the game and stuff like that. And I think that's something that I didn't really expect to happen this way. I think a lot of people from the RuneScape community perhaps expected WoW players to join, shit on the game and leave, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's been overall a very positive experience for most people, but some people won't play forever, and I think that's fine. You know, you're not forced to play a game. I think it's good just giving it a try and playing once in a while if you feel like it, or playing it a whole ton, like Joker, right? Like I think that's okay. But like, I don't know, some people probably burned out and some others just wanted to check out how it was and then had no more intentions of playing long term, right?
Yeah, I just had wondered if, for a lot of these guys, it's because it really is the amount of trends that I saw when everyone was trying it for the first time of just this very, your brain is so attuned to vertical progression and kind of like seeing a list and going down the line and following a path like that's set for you kind of thing. And so it's such a different experience and different mentality. And especially when a lot of the guys were, logging in 12, 14 hours a day, just going full throttle. It's like, man, that can burn you out so fast, so abruptly. It's like, it's almost not surprising that a lot of the guys were kind of clocking out basically.
If you put in that many hours on it, that's insane. I mean, I'm playing a lot. I play 6, 7, 8 hours most days, but I still I do some other games. I delve into other content, and I still plan on doing that. It's not like now I play RuneScape forever, but I've really have been enjoying my journey so far with the game, and I'm definitely it's a game that okay, man, even if I one day maybe don't play as much, I would still be really hyped for new content and new quests and stuff, because I wouldn't have played it for over 100 days if it was just for a quick detour, I guess.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, it's good that it's kind of become that. I guess on that note, do you see yourself, continuing OSRS down the road, for, I don't want to say years to come, but maybe years to come, who knows? Do you think it's become a permanent part of your tool belt of games to play?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't know if it's a game I'll main forever. Now this is my main thing and I'm gonna just play it forever. But yeah, it's a game that I've really come to appreciate, and it's definitely a game even if I stop playing at some point, I'll be able to come back to and play again. And that's where it's great that I don't lose my progress. If I one day feel burned out or I want to do some other stuff a bit, I wouldn't feel forced to have the FOMO of oh man, now I lose my progress, because I can just start playing again if I feel like it, right? And I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's good.
When it comes to because right now I think Gridmaster is probably the first temporary game mode that you've seen come out, and it's the first temporary game mode we've had that's not Deadman mode or leagues. Do you see yourself? I guess probably this first one that, since everyone's kind of new, it's not the most appealing thing, because kind of getting the content organically in the main servers is probably the best course of action there. But do you see yourself playing future temporary game modes like that, participating even if you're kind of on a hiatus from old school?
Oh yeah, I think that'd be great. I think that'd be awesome. I mean, for sure. I think temporary game modes are a really good reprieve from the main game, and it makes you just have fun with it and see the game in a different light, right? Even for myself, Gridmaster was really fun to play for 2 days. I got a little bit burned out on it, I won't lie, because it was too much happening.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Me.
But if there's ever a future league, I would definitely be down to check it out, especially if I knew more about the end game and more.
Oh, Guzu didn't like Gridmaster? Thank goodness I didn't try that. Wasted time, waste of XP. Are you kidding me, guys?
Bosses and stuff, because then you can see how fast you can do those or whatever.
Yeah, it definitely helps with I know Jagex kind of takes the approach of maybe this can introduce new players or casual players to more endgame content to kind of give them an introduction to it. But
Gridmaster was fun, then why did Guzu quit? Got you there, bud.
It also is it could be very overwhelming, so that
definitely
makes sense. I hadn't asked anyone else this, but I feel like it could be, since you are pretty deep in the old school community at this point, and you've got an audience that's coming from both games, and you've just seen this big surge. Looking at Soda Poppin', I've talked to him a little bit, just privately, because he's not just taking a break from old school, he's taking a break from streaming entirely, so it's like a whole different situation. But he did experience this little, like, I guess, tribalism from the old school community, just because he went and played WoW for like a few days. Granted, it was a very loud minority, but it was enough to just kind of make him like upset with the old school community. So as a streamer with a large audience, does that kind of give you any worry to go back to WoW or try and put OSRS down for a little bit? Or what's your mentality behind making sure that this doesn't pigeonhole you into just like OSRS?
How are you not gonna lose your mind after you stop playing OSRS and the viewers are flaming you consistently for quitting?
Yeah, I mean, as a content creator, it's always something that you gotta keep in mind whenever you're doing something, that if you're doing a game that has a very, very strong community and you end up doing something else, they might not be very happy with you. But ultimately, like for me, as long as I am currently enjoying what I'm doing and I'm having fun with it, I'll do it. But that's what I said as well. Like, I don't know if I'll keep playing this game. Maybe one day I'll do something else and come back to RuneScape later. And there might be some people that would be unhappy with that, given that's probably a vocal minority, but it happens. And it's something you got to keep in mind. And I don't know. I try not to let it get to me too much, because I'm just trying to have fun with the games, right? And then enjoy myself. I've definitely noticed it sometimes where like I'm doing other games, I'm like, where's RuneScape?
I ain't gonna lie, guys. I didn't have one toxic person really when I swapped from WoW to RuneScape. Like, none of my WoW viewers showed up and said anything. They just didn't watch the stream anymore. I don't like they don't even come in here and ask, when am I going back to WoW? Like, they didn't say anything when I left. I guess WoW is like, they just watch WoW and that's it. They just go watch someone else that's streaming WoW. But there was no like, Sard quit, he abandoned us. There was none of that. That's just a RuneScape culture thing, I guess.
Or did you quit RuneScape? Or are you coming back?
Quit? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's becoming a little bit of a meme, I guess, in the stream. But there are some people that genuinely wonder, right?
Yeah.
I've noticed Shopik has gotten quite a lot of backlash for his sudden, break or quitting or whatever, which is a little bit sad. I think it's also like a lot of.
You were a smaller streamer in WoW? Yeah. I was like 300 to 400 viewers when I swapped over, but that was like in the middle of the summer when you always have a little bit lower viewers. During the winter and during bigger events, I was getting like 1,000. So I wouldn't say I was like I was still one of like the bigger WoW streamers, I guess, in a way. Like, there's not a lot of big classic WoW streamers.
Vocal minorities. Maybe it's also because he banter a little bit back and it like snowballed and stuff, but
yeah, I think so.
But it's a bit unfortunate that it can get to the point where people are getting very annoyed with a streamer doing something different. But I think ultimately they just want people to enjoy their game, and but it can definitely spin out of control a bit. But just because someone is not playing your game for a little bit doesn't mean that they hate it, right?
Yeah, I've always tried to advocate, for streamers and content creators to just do what they're enjoying, because it's, as an audience member, it's usually pretty easy to tell, whether they're enjoying what they're doing or not. So it's, sure. I think it's important and healthy, especially, to not just play one game, to broaden the horizon a little bit. But
I love RuneScape, and I've been playing it majorly for like the past 100 days now, quarter of a year almost. But I've also been like doing different variety games. I'm playing through like Zelda and like a bunch of other stuff that I've never done, and I'll continue to do that because I like it, and a lot of my community members in my stream likes it, right?
Yeah.
As much as I still enjoy RuneScape, I also want to do other things, right?
Yeah. Especially as someone that, you've definitely taken the opportunity to kind of
Jimmy's gonna love moons when he gets there. Okay, guys. Take it easy, huh?
A lot of different opinions on game elements and different parts of games, especially RuneScape and WoW. And I feel like playing other games, whether it's another MMO or just an RPG like Baldur's Gate, it gives you insight into different game worlds that can help kind of give some insight when there's discussions happening for updates or directions to take, and just kind of talking with an audience about what's going on or what your thoughts are. So I've found that it helps a lot for, video essays, and I'm sure whenever you're talking with chat about stuff, it's definitely influenced a little bit to think about other things you've played.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my stuff is definitely like more live conversations and stuff. I don't like I don't like do like big essays like you do, but it still really helps in like formulating your thoughts or like thinking about certain mechanics in different lights, right?
100%. So I guess one last question here. So it's probably the most important one. It's not even close. Okay. What would you rate old school RuneScape out of 10?
Oh, man, that's a big question, huh? Out of 10. I mean, obviously, I can rate it out of
chat. What's a tarnished
what
locket?
I've seen so far, and it obviously in the MMO, space, I guess.
Yeah.
Man, That's hard.
It's
really
hard.
Good. Before I say though, I will say, RuneScape knows exactly what it is, and it is unapologetically itself, and I think that's what makes it so good, because if you like this type of game, it is the perfect game, but it's not for everybody. But for me, from what I've played, I mean, I don't know, at least like an 8 or a 9, I think. It's hard to say. It's a really it's the game that it is. It's a really old school style MMO, and you get what you get, right? And I think it does what it does good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to formulate my words here. I'm not really getting them out right.
I get what you're saying. No, I completely understand.
Hopefully the what I'm saying is coming across.
100%. But I mean, anything old school RuneScape related that you've been thinking about during the conversation that we didn't really cover?
I can't really, on the top of my head, I can't really think of anything at the moment. I feel like we covered a broad aspect of it.
Yeah. Anything you don't like about old school that just really grinds your gears when you log in?
You know what? I hate the community. Fuck him. No, I don't know. Not on the top of my head. No, I think
Guzu hates us.
It does what it does well, and it's not a game for everybody, but that's okay, because for the people that like it, it's a freaking amazing game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it just makes me think of like what all you guys came over here, and then like when it comes to old school understands its own identity. We get the gem crab like immediately when you guys come over here. It's like, oh yeah, here's a crab that you stand at for 10 minutes at a time. It's like we were already doing this anyway, but now you don't have to fight for a world for it anymore. It's like, it's like, okay, you guys know what this game is. Like, you know what your own game is.
You know what's up?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was good timing, I guess. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I think we've been talking for like almost exactly an hour, so that's awesome, man.
Perfect timing, I guess.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for taking time out, especially after stream. I know how tough it is after stream to do anything whatsoever. So I really appreciate you doing that after a long stream like that, man. That's awesome.
I'd say I said this earlier, but I said Guzu, he's a guy that he got a really good head on his shoulders. You know what I mean?